my beautiful people. Welcome back to another fun Toon Talk. I'm currently recording this on July the 4th, so to all my American viewers, I hope you all had a very safe and very happy Independence Day. So, whatever you do, you celebrate your independence in your own fun, unique way as an American. But enough about the sappy holiday bullcrap. Today, I want to talk about something fun because we are starting a brand new theme month right now. What is the theme month? Well, you are watching the very first video of Christians in July. That's right. Throughout the entirety of the month of July, every single week, you're going to get a different Toon Talk or Theater Talk about a Christian piece of media. So you're going to get two Toon Talks and two Theater Talks about weird Christian cartoons and weird Christian plays and musicals. So this is going to be very hectic and really fun. So I guess before I dig into the first subject of the month, I should probably briefly go over kind of my experience with Christian media as a whole. I've never really talked about this, but I actually did grow up as a Baptist for my childhood, but then became a Pentecostal throughout my teenage years. We swapped churches, and I kind of want to not really put my personal views on is there a God or not, which because that is a very touchy subject, and with the type of content that we're going to be discussing this month, we're not really going to get into the whole is this real type of thing, more just how generally crappy Christian media typically is, because the TLDR, I was a raised Christian, and I was exposed to a lot of different pieces of Christian media, most notably VeggieTales, and I will still die on a hill and say that VeggieTales is really freaking good, and everyone should watch it regardless of if you're Christian or not. But not every piece of Christian content is VeggieTales. You do get occasionally some really good pieces of Christian media that are on the same level, if not better, than VeggieTales. Like Andrew Lloyd Webber made some pretty good biblical musicals with Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and Jesus Christ Superstar. Some of the earlier biblical epics, such as Ten Commandments and Ben-Hur. But the grand majority of Christian content is bottom of the barrel crap. Like a lot of the really bad children's media, such as Bible Man, a lot of the really bad PureFlix films, such as the God's Not Dead series or War Room. The bottom of the barrel, ultimate tin crap that you only really watch because it's Christian and they figure, oh, it's Christian, so we don't have to try. Which is stupid because regardless on if you're Christian or not, you should still put making a good product along with it. That's why stuff like VeggieTales is that great, because the Christian morals and the story were at equal importance, where with a lot of other Christian media, the moral takes more priority over the story. And sometimes with the God's Not Dead movies using as example, the moral isn't even that good to begin with. So the point is, a lot of Christian content is crap. And that is what the bulk of this month is going to consist of. And there's a lot of bad Christian movies and TV shows out there. So we might revisit this month in the future, but for now, we're going to stick to 4 pieces of Christian content that I really want to highlight this month. Starting things off with, no joke, the only well-remembered and well-liked out of the 4 of them. I don't know. I honestly am not aware of the public opinion on most of this stuff. But anyways, with all that said, let's please dig into the very first subject of Christians in July, and that being the animated 60s series Davey and Goliath. Yes, if you didn't read the title of this video, I bet this is a bit of a shock to you guys. But yeah, for today's video, we are going to be focusing on the 1960 animated series, Davey and Goliath, in particular, its very first episode, Lost in a Cave. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys probably know about this show through general pop culture as being a stop motion Christian cartoon from the 60s. And there's actually some very interesting behind the scenes factors regarding this show. Like, if we just look at the little intro right over here, like, it was actually funded by a church. A lot of Christian content was funded by churches, and Davey and Goliath is no exception to this. But it was also created and showrun and directed by Art Clokey, an animation veteran who most of you probably know more as the creator of Gumby. Do people here watching this video even know who Gumby is? But yeah, I feel like looking at this man, you probably wouldn't expect him to be the type of guy who would create a Christian show, but he is. And yeah, this man is not only the creator of Gumby, but also the creator of Davey and Goliath. And that's all he has going for him. So yeah, Art Clokey, creator of Davey and Goliath. And you can tell it's Christian because the title is a play on David and Goliath. You get it? Basically, the show is about a little boy and his dog. The dog can talk. And, Davey, he's just learning life lessons through the lens of the Lord. And that's basically what the show is. It's a cute, harmless little Christian show. You could show it to your kids. It's not awful. But I want to use the first episode as an example because I have not seen a single episode of this show outside the very first episode, episode 1, Lost in a Cave. Now, this little playlist here has like all of the episodes, including the Christmas special they made later. But yeah. Something that particularly stood out to me about this show was the animation. Now, let's find a random frame here of there's Davey, right? There's Davey right there. I know this is 1960 pre-Rake and Bass stop motion television animation, but that doesn't change the fact that this animation is so hilarious, which I know it's not intentional because this show isn't funny at all. Like look at these faces. Look how freaking dead they look. Like, oh my god. Look at her. Look at the mom's eyes. Like, the sister barely even has a mouth. Like, they look like they got ran over by a steamroller. Like, oh my god. And, oh my god. Look at it's almost like they made like very abstract hand-drawn characters, but they just didn't know how to render it into like 3 dimensions. And so this is the best they could do. Because it's funny because like all the promotional images that I've seen of this show look so much better than the actual show. Like little images right here. This was clearly taken in the 2010s. It's in HD. Meanwhile, the actual show looks like this. Like, I mean, weirdly enough, Davey is probably the best looking one out of all of them. Like, he still looks bad, but not like awful. Oh, but then we get Goliath. Okay, that's more Davey. But like, come on, show me the dog. Show me the dog. Look at him. Look at that freaking dog! Oh my god! This is so derpy. Like, I'm using the word derp in 2024. Like, that really is the best way to describe this show. Where like every single frame of animation is like the you shouldn't pause at this moment type of frames. Like it is that bad. Which is kind of ironic because I feel like the actual motion part of the stop motion animation is actually pretty solid. Like the characters move. You can tell that they're actually moving. It's not as janky as say a Rankin Bass, but like it's overall decent stop motion animation, especially for the early 60s. It's just that these freaking character designs are so bad. Like, okay, that's actually, again, Davey's alright, but everybody else is like Goliath is just straight up horrifying. Like, I don't know how kids got into this. Like so much kids media from like this point in time is like so unintentionally horrifying. Like the original versions of like Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar are like so like eerie and unsettling. But and like meanwhile on like syndicated television, we're getting like we're getting stuff we're getting stuff like that. We're getting stuff like that and stuff like this freaking dog. Like oh my god. Oh, but you know that's just the animation, and animation isn't really the indicator on a cartoon's quality. That's the story, you know? Like how is the story? How is the writing? Well, you know how early in this video I was saying that like the best Christian media has making a good piece of media be just as important as the Christian morals? Well, I feel like this definitely falls into like not that. It also falls into like a rule that's like not not a rule, but like a problem that's like overall children's programming from this era in television, where like, well, actually, this was a little later, but like it has to be educational because like this was before like educational children's television was really kicking off, and parents were insisting that there be more educational TV for kids. But it really is, at least judging by this first episode. Again, I am only basing the stuff from this show on this one episode out of the 74. But it really is something that they put the moral first, and that was their biggest priority over anything else. Like the moral. We need to put home this moral that God will care for you because he loves you no matter what. I not a bad moral. Not bad. Not at all. But I feel like that moral was kind of like they cared so much about that moral that the rest of the episode got completely overlooked. Like the story, it's like I don't know. Davy is playing with a toy airplane, right? It gets stuck in a tree, and so he has his dad help him get the airplane down. And then but like Davy overhears his dad saying to his friend, "God be with you." And then Davy's like, "Hey, Dad, what are you doing that for? Like, what's going on? What do you mean God be with you?" And his dad's like, "Oh, well, God be with you. God will be with you when you need him to be." And so like, in order for like Davy to relate to this, his dad decided to bring back some trauma to Davy, bring back past trauma to this child by bringing up the time that Davy got lost in a cave. Davy again. So like the rest of the episode is a flashback to when Davy got lost in a cave. Like him and his family were going on this little search to a cave, and they were just roaming around. Davy got a little interested. He went off course, and so the tour guide had to go and save him. And he basically Are you saying that, like, are you saying, is this show trying to say that this tour guide is God? Are you trying to say that Davey and Goliath? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I think they're trying to say that. But it. Plus, I also want to bring up that's a bit of a ballsy move for a first episode of your children's show. Yeah, the main character gets stuck in a freaking cave. He's lost. He can't find his parents. And oh, by the way, he hurts his foot and he can't walk right. Also, also, hold on. Let me try and find it. Uh, eh, eh. Look at that. Oh, episode 1. And we got a picture of a child's foot. Jeez. There you go again, Dan Schneider. I don't think he was even freaking alive when this show existed. Like, stop thinking everything in children's entertainment is Dan Schneider's fault. But anyway, moving back to the freaking episode. And yeah, Davey's fine because kids show, but like, I don't know. Something about it's just like I get it, it's simple, but like nothing really screams to me. Like nothing really like stands out to be like, oh yeah, this is a good show. I can get like my kids would like this, but like I can't imagine like a child in 1960 being genuinely entertained by this because like some of the kids shows that were around at that time were like Howdy Doody and Huckleberry Hound and Yogi Bear. And like, those shows, like, yeah, they had some slower bits, but like they were fun, they were energetic, and they had some humor and some little funny moments to keep the kids entertained. And this show tries to do that with the character of Goliath. Goliath is kind of supposed to be this show's like comic relief, but he's not entertaining. He doesn't. They try to give him some one-liners, but none of the one-liners really land. And I get it, it's supposed to be funny to a child in 1960, but I don't know, it just doesn't work. Like, even trying to, like, view that from the lens of trying to picture myself in 1960 being in the target demographic for the show, Goliath just doesn't work for me. And I know, saying that it doesn't work for me seems silly because I am not a child, and it is 2024, not 1960. But hey, but even judging by those standards, I feel like there were better options for kids back in the day, even for Christian kids, because like a lot of television was very suitable at that point. Like not most of television, but a good bit of television was pretty all right for Christians, I believe so. But so like, at least judging by this first episode of Davey and Goliath. Again, I've not seen the other 73 episodes. Maybe one of those episodes gives me a reason for why this show is still beloved to this day and why it's so fondly remembered and regarded as a good piece of Christian media. But from what I've seen in this first episode, I don't see it. I don't see it. It just seems like another generic Christian cartoon. It it exists. I can definitely say that. But here's the thing. We are not done with our discussion just yet because we can't really talk about Davey and Goliath in the modern era without discussing another show that bears a similar visual style to it, and that being the infamous Moral Orel. Yes. Exactly 1 year after Davey and Goliath aired its final television special, the the animated series Moral Oral premiered on Adult Swim. And as you can tell, it bears a striking resemblance to Davey and Goliath. This is a thing that Adult Swim did a lot back in the day. They still do it to an extent, but especially when they first came out, where most of their biggest shows were either parodies or directly influenced by a piece of children's media. Like you say, some of their earliest shows were parodies of Hanna-Barbera shows, such as Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Harvey Birdman, Sea Lab 2021, and the Space Ghost spinoff, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. But you also had some shows like Robot Chicken, which made sketch comedies about a bunch of different children's media. You had, say, you had even Rick and Morty to an extent, because, like, again, that's like an adult parody of Back to the Future. And nowadays you have Smiling Friends, which isn't really like a parody of like a kids show per se, but it definitely does take like this fun little happy premise and kind of flips it on its head. And even the failed pilot Learning with Pippi is like pure classic Adult Swim, even bringing back all of the Hanna-Barbera parodies. And Moral Oral is no exception, with it being a visual parody of Davey and Goliath, and it being about this kid named Oral Puppington experiencing life in the town where he's a devoted Christian, a devoted God-fearing Christian, but he's a good boy, but everyone around him is a complete monster, including his own parents. Now, I've not seen Moral Oral. I know I need to get on that, but the point is, there's a show that has had like a lot of discussion over it, and the funny thing is that I don't think the creators of Moral Oral have even seen Davey and Goliath. I think they just used it as a visual inspiration and nothing else. I think they just wanted to create a show that was like a commentary on how religious people can act whenever they're given like a position of power or whatever, and just a commentary on hypocrites in general. Like, again, I haven't seen the show, but I think they simply just used it as a visual inspiration because it is a recognizable Christian cartoon, and that's kind of what Adult Swim's brand was built off of in the early 2000s. So that's my theory, but I just had to bring that up. But overall, I'd say that Davey and Goliath, it judging by the first episode, not a good first impression. Maybe the rest of the show is better. Maybe the rest of the show is like good, but judging by what I've seen, I don't get the hype. But anyway, guys, that will be it for this video. What do you guys think of Davey and Goliath? Please let me know down in the comments below. And also, what is your favorite Christian animated series? And why is it VeggieTales? In fact, let's kind of change that. What is your favorite Christian animated series that's not VeggieTales? I don't think anybody has an answer to that, because you're kind of very limited on your pickings. I mean, I guess there was the direct-to-video Bible adaptations from Hanna-Barbera in the 80s. You got that. Screw it. It's more oral. But, yeah. That'll be it for this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And ring the bell to be notified when future videos are uploaded. And, oh, by the way, we have more Christian videos coming soon. We got more good little Christian videos and reviews coming. You got a good little Christian theater talk next week. It's going to be very good, very Christian, very, very God blessed. And it's going to be a very infamous Christian ripoff of a popular musical. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I will see you later. Bye.
Oh! Ow. Ugh. Am I Am I finally home? Everything looks normal. You got the loud dog, you got the sleeping dog. It seems normal, like it's home. I don't remember the couch being green, though. Hey, maybe they just changed the furniture. Ugh.
Hello.
Oh, come on!
Nice to see you again, SpongeBob.
Wait, what?
You don't remember me, do you?
Really?
Okay, so around 2017, you and a bunch of other puppets came to my house and my friend Noah's house, and around 2019, just you came back and you were in a bit of an interdimensional shuffle. I thought it was just because I was high, but turns out it was real because 5 years later, you're still here.
Really? You're that guy?
Yeah.
The house looks...
A lot different in the last 5 years. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. So have you ever made your way back to your home dimension, or have you just stayed in that one dimension to help your friends?
I just stayed in that one dimension. And the truth is, I haven't really been in that dimension much either lately because ever since, like, June of last year, I've been jumping around dimension to dimension, and it just sucked so much.
Yeah, I get that. It really is pretty crappy. So, have you made your way back to your original home dimension?
No.
Why not?
Look, I'm too scared to go to my home dimension. Like, even if I had the choice, which I don't, I kind of just pop out of dimension to dimension with no, like, control. I don't feel like I'm ready.
Why not?
I was gone for 7 years. I left all those people just without me. Like, I was just gone. I don't know how I can do that. I don't know how I can go back like nothing ever changed and just act the same way I did around these people for the last 5 years.
Well, technically it was 7.
Shut up! I've come across too many variants of you in like the last 10 months to really be tolerant of anyone who just looks exactly like you. Be like, oh wow, SpongeBob puppet's talking, whoa.
Well, I kind of got all that out of my system 7 years ago.
Valid.
I feel like if you just explain everything to them, they'll be accepting. Especially Patrick. I mean, that guy will accept anything.
Maybe, I don't know.
All you gotta do is just try.
I guess you're right. Thank you, Ryan.
Anytime, SpongeBob. And if you ever find yourself in another interdimensional shuffle within the next few years, you know where to stop by.
Thanks, I always really like our talks whenever we get to...
Yeah, that tracks.